My name is Anna, and for a long time I believed confidence was something other people were born with. They spoke smoothly, their voices steady, their words flowing like music. When they talked, people listened. When I spoke, my heart raced. My thoughts ran faster than my tongue. It happened in English class at first. I had good grammar, good grades, but when I stood up to speak, my mind went blank. Later in life, it followed me to work meetings, to interviews, to simple conversations with strangers. I wasn't silent because I had nothing to say, I was silent because I was afraid of how I sounded. One day, after another meeting where my voice shook, I asked myself, what if confidence is not a gift? What if it is a habit? That was where my journey began, 7 small habits that changed how I speak, how I think, and how I see myself. Speaking English used to feel like carrying a heavy box up a hill. Every sentence felt like a test. I worried about mistakes, about grammar, about the look on someone's face when I mispronounced a word. The more I tried to sound perfect, the less natural I became. I remember a day when my manager asked me to share an idea with our team. It was a simple idea, but my hands trembled. I spoke too fast and forgot half my points. After the meeting, I felt ashamed. I sat in a quiet corner of the office and asked myself, why am I so afraid of my own voice? That evening I listened to a recording of myself speaking. I expected to hear mistakes, but what I heard was fear. A small, shaking fear that hid under every sentence. It wasn't grammar that stopped me, it was the belief that I wasn't good enough to be heard. I decided to change that, not with a big goal, but with small habits. 7 tiny things I could practice every day until my voice felt like home. Habit 1. Breathe before you speak. The first habit was simple, breathe before you speak. I realized that every time I rushed to talk, I was trying to prove my right to exist in the conversation. Breathing reminded me that I already belonged there. Now, before every call, meeting, or conversation, I pause and take one slow breath. In that moment, I let go of the need to be perfect. I focus on connection instead of correction. A deep breath is a tiny bridge between fear and clarity. It tells my body, I'm safe. It tells my mind, you can speak. At first, I had to remind myself every time. Now it happens naturally, before interviews, presentations, even phone calls. Each breath creates space for confidence to grow. Habit 2. Smile while speaking. The second habit felt strange at first, smile while speaking. I used to think confidence looked serious. But then I noticed something. When I smiled, people smiled back, and the room felt lighter. My voice changed too. It became warmer, rounder, more alive. Smiling doesn't mean pretending to be happy, it means relaxing your face so your words can flow. The muscles around your mouth shape the sound of your voice. When they are tight, your voice shrinks. When they are soft, your voice opens up. I started practicing this in front of a mirror. Every morning, I read a few lines out loud while smiling. At first, I felt silly. But then I noticed my voice sounded clearer. I wasn't hiding behind the words anymore, I was sharing them. Now I smile when I say hello, when I thank someone, when I start a presentation. It's a small gesture, but it changes everything. A smile tells the world, I'm not afraid to be seen. Habit 3. Pause after each sentence. The third habit was the hardest for me, pause after each sentence. I used to fill every silence because I thought silence meant weakness. But I was wrong. Silence is where confidence breathes. At first, pausing felt like walking on a rope without moving. My heart would rush me to say the next word. But slowly, I learned to trust the pause. A pause is a place for the listener to catch your meaning. It is also a gift for your brain to prepare the next thought. When you pause, you tell your mind, I am in control. I began recording myself speaking short paragraphs with intentional pauses. Later, I played them back and realized something beautiful. My voice sounded stronger, not weaker. Each pause added weight to the sentence before it. Now, when I speak in English, I think of it like music. The words are notes, and the pauses are the rest between them. Without rest, music is just noise. Without pauses, speech is just sound. But with pauses, words start to mean something. Habit 4. Use simple words. One day I listened to a recording of a native speaker on the radio. His words were not fancy. He spoke slowly, using simple phrases like, I think, I believe, that's important. And yet, his message felt strong. I realized that I was trying too hard to sound intelligent. I filled my sentences with long, complicated words that made me feel safe, but distant. When I tried to impress, I lost connection. So I began a new habit: use simple words. Simple words are honest words. They come from the heart, not from the dictionary. I stopped hiding behind vocabulary and started focusing on clarity. Now when I speak, I ask myself one question. Would my friend understand this if I said it at dinner? If the answer is yes, I keep it. If it sounds like a textbook, I let it go. Speaking simply does not make me smaller. It makes my message bigger. Habit 5. Prepare one idea per conversation. There was a time when I tried to say too much in every meeting. I wanted to sound smart, to show everything I knew. But the more I said, the less people remembered. Then I learned the 5th habit: prepare one idea per conversation. Not 5, not 10, just one. Before a meeting, I ask myself, what's the one idea I want them to remember when they leave the room? It could be a solution, a value, or even a feeling. Once I have it, I shape all my words around that single point. It was strange at first, saying less but meaning more. But the change was immediate. People started quoting my lines in later discussions. They remembered my words because my message was simple and focused. Now, even when I teach or share stories, I hold one clear purpose in my heart. If someone forgets everything else, what's the one sentence I hope stays with them? That is how confidence sounds, clear, not crowded. Habit 6. Record your voice once a day. The 6th habit changed everything. Record your voice once a day. At first, it was uncomfortable. Hearing your own voice can be like looking in a mirror you've avoided for years. It shows everything you've ignored: hesitation, filler words, fear. But it also shows your progress. Each day, I recorded myself reading a short text or summarizing my day in English. At night, I listened again. I wrote small notes. Today I sounded tired. My voice was soft but steady. I paused too soon. Over weeks, my voice became a diary, a map of growth. I could hear my confidence rising. I noticed that when I smiled, the tone changed; when I breathed, the rhythm slowed. Listening became a teacher more honest than any coach. The magic of this habit is simple. You cannot improve what you do not notice. Recording helps you notice, and noticing brings change. Habit 7. End with gratitude. The seventh habit might sound unusual, but it became my favorite. End with gratitude. In the past, I ended conversations worrying about what I said wrong. I replayed every sentence, judging myself. Now, I end with two simple words: thank you. Gratitude is not only polite, it's healing. It closes the conversation with kindness, not perfection. It reminds me that communication is not about performance, it's about connection. When I finish a talk, I thank the people who listened. When I record an episode, I thank the invisible audience who might need the words. Even when I speak to myself, I whisper a small thank you, for the courage to keep practicing. Gratitude is confidence without pride. It's saying, I am still learning, but I am not afraid to share what I have. After months of practicing these habits, I faced my biggest test yet, a public presentation. It was a company event, with more than 100 people in the audience. Old Anna would have panicked, her mind racing with what-ifs. But that morning, I did what had now become my routine. I breathed before I spoke. I smiled at the first row. I used simple words. I paused after each idea. I focused on one clear message. I remembered all the times I had recorded myself. And when I finished, I said softly, "Thank you." The room was quiet for a moment, then applause began. But the real victory wasn't the clapping. It was the peace inside me. For the first time, I didn't care how I sounded. I cared that I had spoken with truth. Confidence, I realized, is not about being loud. It's about being real. And being real takes practice. After the presentation, I walked home under a pale sky. The air smelled of rain, and the city lights were soft. I thought about the long road from silence to speech. Confidence had once seemed like a wall, high, solid, unreachable. But now I saw it was a bridge, built step by step, with small habits as the stones beneath my feet. I learned that confidence is quiet. It doesn't shout, it listens. It doesn't demand attention, it earns it through calm presence. It doesn't come from knowing everything, it comes from trusting that you can learn. Every habit I practiced taught me one simple truth. The voice becomes strong when the heart becomes kind. And kindness begins with yourself. When I forget a word, I smile. When my accent shows, I breathe. When I feel nervous, I remind myself that my words are not about perfection, they are about connection. Today, when people ask me how to speak with confidence, I don't tell them to be fearless. I tell them to be patient. Confidence is not the fire that burns bright, it's the candle that stays lit through the wind. So start small. Take one breath before you speak. Smile, even when your voice shakes. Pause, even when the silence feels heavy. Use words that come naturally. Share one clear idea. Record your growth. And always end with gratitude. Because confidence is not built in a day, it's built in every conversation you dare to begin. Thank you for walking this journey with me. And remember, every calm word you speak brings you closer to your strongest voice.